Hello, everyone. Guess what? It's Wednesday. It's time for Laugh and Learn Lunch with who? Trey Urban. And guess what? I have the most amazing woman who's here to spend time with me, elevate me, and she's already got me so excited. So without further ado, you guys, I want to introduce you to the amazing Cherrie. And Miss Sacchetti.
Sacchetti.
Sacchetti. That's her last name. You guys, I'm practicing her last name because look at how it's spelled. Sacchetti. It's amazing. But this amazing queen, I met her on Clubhouse in the Landing Big Whales Club, and she just had me from the moment she started talking. She has such genius. She is all about sustainability, about green earth, about all these things that I love, right? Because I want to save the planet. I want to heal humanity. So without any further ado, beautiful, please introduce yourself. Tell these people a little bit more about yourself before we get into our amazing topic of what? Quantum
healing. So I'm Cherrie Sacchetti, and I am a business owner. I own Victress Group, and we do fractional chief of staff services and COO services. But, that's not the part of me of who I'm representing today, because like you, there's more to healing, right? And we have a global effort that needs to take place. And so I'm putting that hat aside, and I have a mission, a divine mission that it's for humanity. And what we're going to be talking about today is just a small component of that. And I just want to get people's feet wet because it's a very complicated subject. It can go off into literally 1,000 different arms. And it doesn't matter whether you're religious, you're spiritual, whatever it is, it's all pertinent to you as a human being and the body that exists that you are in. Okay, so with that, would you like me to start with quantum health?
Whatever you want to do, Queen, because guess what, Miss Cherrie? This is, I love it. So those of you who know my story know that I was paralyzed in a car accident. And that began my healing journey. So over a decade now, it's been 12 years, I have studied, the most amazing thought leaders around healing. And in the end, it all goes back to quantum physics, because why? All is energy. And again, energy master. So I'm so ready to dive into this topic. Yes, please. I feel like I just want to be the student, and I'm going to listen. Okay.
Okay.
And I just want to hear.
Have you heard of quantum entanglement? Do you know what that is?
It's ringing a bell, but I'll say I didn't study more into it if I had.
Okay. So it's basically when one particle or pair depends upon the other. They're two separate things, but they're also connected together. So if you have a ring like this, you can equate it to it's an energy or a connection that you feel between two things, even when they're not together. And so you and I and the others listening could relate to that to when you fall in love, right? That overjoy feeling, right? And that energy that's placed in that, and that connection that you have with the other person. And it might not be a love interest. It also might be a friend, right? That you now have met and you feel that energy and the connection. But when they leave and they're not in your presence, you still have that energy residing in you and that feeling, right? When you think about that other person.
I call it zim-zum. So that like you just kind of, you zim-zum. Right. And then because energy is always exchanging. I get it. Yes.
Right. So it's the scientists are having a hard time relating that to classical, physics. And that's something that is becoming more and more present with us nowadays, is talking about these other things and how this actually scientifically and conscientiously relates to the spiritual world. Because, we're in an era where if people called things spiritual, previously it was, ooh, you're woo-woo. Right, you're woo-woo, right? And so the definition for me that was given for spiritual, and I would like to share this because it was really, I think, the start to a shift. All right. And so, and respecting everyone with religion and spirituality, the analogy that was given to me are those that are devoted. Okay. It doesn't matter what religion you are, but understand and believe that there is a higher being. They congregate in whatever religious aspect that is for them. And the energy of all of this is what ties them and gives them that conduit. Okay. And so they all experience that, right?
Yes.
Okay. So if you go out of that and you now have one individual who bypasses having to be with others to have that connection, okay, and it's a main road, that's spirituality, because you are directly connected to the divine, the source, whatever that means for you, okay? And if we can all get together and respect that each of those have a place, all right, although with religions, there have been, you know, some of the books have been doctored before they were presented to the mass, and it's not all accurate. And so that will come to light at some point in time.
If they would cut out the middle and of all of us that are blocking us and go, we're here and there's something there, can we just agree on that?
Right. Right. So if we are all on the same page with that right now to start this conversation off, and understanding what quantum entanglement is, right, of the energy, and having two things together but still being connected in a means, okay, that thought is what I want to talk about. And also the aspect of pulling that over into quantum energy and quantum healing. And that is a mixture of ideas that draws from quantum mechanics, psychology, philosophy, and neurophysiology. And it equates, it advocates that I can't talk properly today. Quantum healing.
It's all this energy. And I'm doing my best to contain my excitement so it's not overwhelming or zimzaming you too much. Because, okay, Cherrie, I want you to understand right now, my whole body has been in chills since you've been talking, because I know right now that you're going to put words to what I know, that this is how I healed, because they told me I'd never walk again. But it's all okay. So I'm just going, oh my gosh, she's after 12 years of not being able, because you know how explaining this, and like I already know you're saying it in a way that is gonna finally validate all the craziness that I've been saying in my own weird, crazy way. So, okay, I'm going to not bother you. But girl, I'm so just know that might be some of the energy that's making you not talk right.
Thank you for the confirmation that the words are resonating, because I did ask before I came on to have my guides and all of the listeners' guides to be able to give me those trigger words for each person that's listening, so that they understand it. Because this is a conversation that we need to get away from science and all of those big words. We need to get away from the religious aspect of things, and we need to just cut to the chase and say, how does this relate to me, my head, my mind, you know, the mind, body, and soul? And how do I heal myself? How do I heal my family, generations, right, previous to me? Because we were all fed a lot of different things. And it could have been mental, and it could have been physical things that we were fed, right, or been exposed to. So the quantum healing is about governing the health and the well-being in your body, but doing it in the means that is the best for you, not other people telling you how that should be done. Okay. So I want to just give a little bit of brief background for those that don't understand where we are today, and especially in the United States. In the 1960s, there were competitors that got together, and it was based around the sugar industry. Okay. And these competitors were, you know, as you would be reluctant to talk to somebody else selling the same product. Well, think about this, all right? They came together to sit at the table between the sugar industry and food manufacturers. And what they crafted was, how do we get people addicted to our products?
Yeah.
Because that's going to make us more money. Okay. And so what they came, it was real. Okay. And I think it was in New York City. All right. And so I've had my own experience with the sugar industry down here in previous work that I've done. And I can tell you the amount of money that they spend on lobbyists is absurd. Okay. And it's very difficult to compete with. And so so just taking this example, what they did was they sat down at the table and they said, look, I know you sell this, I sell this, I sell this. We're competitors. That's not what we're here to talk about. We're here to talk about, we need to develop an agreement that we're not going to stray from this. And all of us are going to do the same exact thing. We want to addict people to sugar.
To be uniform.
Exactly, right. We're all going to make money off of this. And so what they decided to do for marketing purposes was to target children, right? Because that way they had a whole lifetime of affecting that, but then generations after that. Do you, as I think we're about the same age, do you remember Saturday morning cartoons?
Mm-hmm. Always
okay, well,
sugar, cereal.
Tony the Tiger. And I've got goosebumps saying
Twinkies,
that, okay, and hearing it. Yes, right. So that's where this derived from, right? Because that boob tube was Saturday morning cartoons where mom
and everyone's like this.
Could go get her house.
You guys have to understand, TV had just come out, and a lot of people were just getting color TVs, and it was amazing. And there's cartoons, so yeah.
So that boob tube was a babysitter for mom so that she could get her housework done, and it was brilliant, right? You know, and she didn't know anything different. She didn't know that she was being taken advantage of, and that her kids were being hijacked. Because what would happen after that is, mom, I want. You know, this
fit. And that's what I was thinking when you said they targeted the kids, and I'm sitting there going, because kids have big old fits.
Right. And so then they go and they see it in the stores when, you know, before mom gets to checkout, right? And I'm focusing on moms because that was the era back then, you know, that the moms were
moms were the ones taking children,
right?
Yep.
Right. So things have progressed over the decades, but in the 1970s, what also happened was
placement hasn't.
Right.
They still have all the sugar lined up right when you're checking out. I don't care what store you're even at the clothes stores. Like when I went to Nordstrom's and all these, I was like, what is the whole thing? Sugar.
Right. It's an addictive progress. Right. It's an addicting progress that they did this on purpose. And so this has benefited them. So this is only one aspect of some industries that have banded together to be able to get us in this realm. So in the 1970s, what also happened was there was world drought and world hunger. Okay. And so scientists legitimately, right, that I'm not discrediting scientists by any means, just like doctors. There are people out there that really want to help and do good in this world, cure diseases and other things, right? But what happens is they get manipulated by those who are greedy. Okay. And then it gets a bad name and a bad rap. This part here of these things that I'm going through are just educational purposes. I don't want to leave the blame behind, because right now it's just how you got here.
You need to know how we got to where we got, why we're at this point right now.
Right. Exactly. So in the 1970s, in order to fix this problem of the drought, they had basically come up with a modification to wheat so that it grew without a lot of water. And so what happened is you know, with the ancient foods, there's grains that are really, really beneficial for all of your body, prebiotics, probiotics, the whole thing of the way that our digestive system is supposed to work. And in doing this, it was inadvertently modified, where now when you start eating those grains, all right, white breads, those different types of things that are used from that, people are getting inflammation, and the inflammation is causing sickness and diseases. And it is this never ending perpetual cycle, right? And so you hear people say that I'm on a white diet, right? Meaning I don't have carbs, I don't do rices, I don't do sugars, you know, those kinds of things, and get them out of my diet. And there's nothing wrong with that. And I'm not a medical person, a nutritionist, a scientist, or anything. These are just facts that people can relate to, right, of how we got here. So in understanding that, we need to get the ancient teachings and the ancient strains and grains back into our diets. And another thing that's happened is that with farming, okay, and it being regulated to a
I
certain
already know
extent,
where you're going with this. Yep.
minerals and nutrients are being stripped out of the soils, right? So you're not getting that in the food that you're eating. Even though you might say that it's organic and it's healthier for you, we're still missing things. So the bottom line is that we are missing a lot of components, okay, especially people our age, right? Because we've had longer time to have that depletion aspect, right? And being addictive to whatever that might be. So in comes the big pH, okay, and they decide, we're going to tack onto this, right? Because this is we want a little bit of this pie between sugar and food, and so that means. Right, greedy people. That means we want to get you pills and get you hooked on that, which means we need to have some kind of medical aspect that's going to take and administer all of that, and then insurance and different things. So you can see, and again, there are awesome, awesome people.
It's a cycle.
Yes.
How everything connects, because the big players play together. The big players have always played together. In addition to the fact that the majority of all farmers anymore in the United States are not allowed to use their own seeds because they get in trouble. Why? They want them using the messed up stuff. And if they don't, they'll either fine them to death or close them down or find some way to try and prove that, you know, something happened. So let me tell you, I've watched all these studies and documentaries.
Right. So interestingly enough, and forgive me because I don't remember who it was, but just about 3 days ago, there was a man who did a reel, a short, right, a video, and it was a woman that was in Canada that had a very top name ketchup brand and 2 bottles. One was Canadian and one was the United States, and she turned them around and listed the ingredients so that you could actually see what they were. The Canadian ingredients were just basically the tomatoes, the sugar, and maybe, you know, a few seasonings. When you went over to the United States version, there's things in that you can't pronounce and you don't know what they are. Right.
And you know what? I had my daughter experience the same thing the last time we went to Mexico. I go, look at the ingredients here. It had like 3 things on a bag of chips. Cause I go, she was eating, we got this stuff, you know, in the airport. I go, watch. I want you to pay attention because when we go there, there's going to be like 2 or 3 things. And sure enough. And she was like, why, Mom? And she was all devastated. I go, see? Okay.
Right. And here's the thing too, is that it tastes different, right? My European friends, we just had this talk this morning, and when they came and spent a month over here and went to the supermarkets and then just saw, number one, the crap that was in the ingredients, and then they went over to the healthier food items, and the healthier food items were like $12 for a loaf of bread. I explained to them that because of the regulations that we have on purpose, right, it's to make you safe, right, and to control things, that those that want to do holistic and organic things, that it's an exorbitant price. So that takes and prices out health. For us to be healthy, right, inside and out. So moving that, going back to the big pH, right, think about this. They have apparently bought up as many supplement companies as they can get their hands on. And when you look at the ingredients, okay, you need to look at what some of them are. And basically, even though they have components here that are this, all right, and those are the good stuff, right? But they decide they want to fill up a jar like this. They put in ingredients that are artificial ingredients and or fillers so that they now can put it up to here, charge a lot more money for a crap product, but you think you're getting a lot and you're getting a big deal, but it's also helping you stay in that loop of addiction, right? And keeping you sick, which they make money on, right?
Yeah.
So think
which
about
is why they don't like you buying stuff internationally either off the internet, because they know if we ordered all of our stuff and had it brought in, they don't want us doing that either.
Right. And so you need to look at what those fillers are and the active ingredients, and you really need to do your homework. And, you know, there was years ago remember when they put food labels on and they were doing that educational federal program to, you know, okay, first of all, this is what needs to be on your plate. Here's the food pyramid. Now we're going to put labels, right? So yeah, that's smoke and mirrors. Okay.
Yeah, I know. I laugh
healthy
because
for
now
you,
they're all
right?
saying that that isn't even healthy. And in the end, it goes back to even like the awareness of the 4 diets for your blood type, that unique blood types metabolize things differently. And each, depending on your blood type specifically, really changes how your body works. And that is like, to me, one of the keys. So it's like you can't have a type person eat the same as an O type person because their bodies need something very different. But go ahead, girl.
Right. Right.
Either
And
way.
so along with the blood tests, there are DNA tests as well. And when doctors, okay, so when you do like the 23andMe and, you know, the ancestry test, people are honing in on their ancestry, right? To see where they came from and, oh, am I this? Am I that? And well, that's phenomenal. But the medical world is not using the DNA testing to see if you fall into one of 5 categories. Too scientific for me to extrapolate to be able to give that to you. But what it is basically in these 5 categories, it's either do you have this? And if you do, is it from one parent, the other parent, or both? And this is either red or yellow, okay, or green. Green means you're good to go in this aspect. If it's a red or yellow, it feeds into these other aspects of the other 4 categories.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And no, they're categories for
Categories?
this DNA testing.
Okay.
Yes. And so each of the categories is like a tree that grows. This one is, you know, the roots in the grass, right? This one is the bottom part of the trunk that, you know, it attaches to the earth. This next one is this, and then, you know, do you get to the top? So if you have that one at the bottom is the one that actually is damaged because you've got it from your mother and your father, okay, and you've inherited those things, that's going to affect the other 4 that go up to the top. And so 99% of this stuff is basically addressable through vitamins and minerals and the right types and education aspect, right?
Everything can be adjusted. That everything can
right.
be reharmonized.
Exactly. So in that aspect, I actually had that particular test done. I'm moving over to the blood tests, which will tell you where you're at.
Like that done.
This particular instance, it is 10x Health, and you can go to 10xhealth.com. I don't have an affiliate link for that yet, but I can tell you that it is a holistic means. And the guy that actually created this is a biohacker, and he was an actuarian that will tell you when you're going to die, and then went backwards and took and did tons and tons of research and kept seeing that this doctor, if you prescribe this pill, could kill a patient. You know, because this is in their DNA and these are factors of things. And then he could also pinpoint and identify that if you fell into that one of the 5 categories, that you're lethargic, you know, during the day and different things, and you can't sleep, and you know, all these other things. And people would say, how do you know that? And he's like, because your genes tell me that. So that's based around that. And that's one of the things that I'm going to talk about in a few minutes that are available to people that are, it's complementary to the medical world. Okay. So it's not in competition, right? But you need to start asking these questions to your doctor if you feel you need to be seen. Okay. And through that realm, why can't we look at this? And if that is not available to you, just know that there are other means that are, and you can take advantage of those. And my goal and others, and I think like yourself as well, is to be able to have a system where either, number one, these are free for people to access, or they're low cost for them to access, and or we have an insurance system that pulls these into play along with the regular medical field, right? And the big PH field. So moving with that, let's talk about water. All right, because water is
there's huge stuff about water.
Right.
And
okay.
What kinds are, and people always ask me, alkaline, not alkaline, this, that, and I'm like, okay, girl, let me have it.
Right. So there's multiple things. All right. So I hope I say his name properly, Masaru Emoto. He was a Japanese businessman and a pseudoscientist who claimed that human consciousness could affect the molecular structure of water. Basically, what he did was he took water, okay, and put it in a glass, and then he put a word on it, okay, and it's been done with food as well, okay, and one word would say love. One word would just be maybe smile or something like that, and the other word would be hate. And these aspects of the water and the food would turn what you would think. If it was something that was
It matched
positive,
the word.
It matched the resonance, okay, in the word, okay, and what your thoughts, conscientiousness, right? Your thoughts and your words actually say. So now, interestingly enough, did that word have to be spoken to the water or the food? He just wrote it on a piece of paper and it was stuck to it, right? There's other people who have also, forgive me, I can't remember her name, that have put water in the freezer and accidentally put her hand dipped in, and she was taking pictures of the different processes. And because her finger or her hand was the last thing that it saw, these were things that were reflected in the actual ice molecules, which was pretty interesting, right? So think about that. If you are thinking negative thoughts all the time and your body is 70 to 80% water, what are you telling the water that's in your body if these experiments are doing it in a glass or in the freezer? Think about the water that's in your body, that thought that you have. It takes, 17 seconds for you to be able to change a thought. And if it's something that's negative, and even if it's a person is annoying you, or things aren't getting done quick enough, or something bad happened to you, if you in 17 seconds can change your thoughts, right? You're changing the molecular structure that's in the water that's in your body, and good things are going to happen. And this is where we talk about the quantum aspects and the things that just roll from all of this, right?
Yes.
So your thoughts and your words, pay attention to that. All right. So the quality of the water around the globe is also another discussion. And I want you to seriously think about this. You hear about filtrated water. The questions that your audience have already asked you about, should it be alkaline? Should it be this? Should it be that? Right. So first of all, think about when they say that it is purified water, okay, or it's filtered water, right? Really go back and find out when that company or that bottle is given to you, and or that product is given to you, what is their process? Because depending upon what country you live in, a government can consist of documentations and words that hold companies accountable, that say you need to quote unquote purify the water. And what that means is adding chemicals to it so it's safe to drink. Okay. Safe to drink by whose standards?
Exactly.
Okay. What is going on in your body when somebody starts adding these chemicals that are not natural chemicals to you?
To
and
water.
If you talk about
They're
water,
not
and if you
natural
talk
water.
about right, and then when you're talking about pH and you talk about the balance of the things that's in your body, we're not talking about the yin and yang, even though it does parallel over to that, but the balance of the pH and the things that are in the system in your body, and you're now putting chemicals that are not natural chemicals, like chlorine, right, and whatever else is in there to kill the microbacteria. Okay, you get it, you understand it, and there are a whole host of people that mean well and are trying to get water to the masses, right? So like, you have other countries who don't have water, so you understand this, right? And so, but where is that fine line where you actually start to say, this is a Band-Aid, it doesn't solve the problem? And how do we get resonance and harmony into the water to return it back to its natural state?
Natural
and
minerals.
Right. Well, there's also things like, which I'll expose to you later, but so there is things like this. When you put it up to the glass or the bottle or the food, it restores the natural state to it, and you can taste the difference in it. And it has grounding, including in with the resonance. Okay. So, and again, there are a multitude of other products out there which people will dub underneath the spiritual world, which are not. We need to stop thinking about all of these different things and say, what's available to me and my body in technology and whatever that might be, and what does it consist of? Does it consist of crystals? Does it consist of, I will tell you, red light therapy. I don't know if anybody knows about that. Okay, but before I digress on the water aspect of things, in the UK, I was told this morning, by the way, that there is a person who worked in a water company and basically said that they take the samples, right? And then they are supposed to, when the client calls back, be able to give them a checklist of suggestions to be able to help, quote unquote, purify the water, right? Well, if the client doesn't get back to them in time, they just go ahead and they do it for what they think is the best. And you are none the wiser. So what control do you actually have in these processes? And then the second thing to think about is that this water is feeding your babies and your children right from the start, because water is an essential thing for us to live, right? So sit with that. You might be able to endure the nastiness or whatever you have had with illnesses and or the way that you feel, your the mental unclarity that you have, whatever it is, because you're tough. You'll die at whatever age because you've made those choices and you've set with that and you're okay with it. But now think about the children. Okay, the babies and the children who didn't have a choice to make the choice that you had, right? How is that fair to them? And what does that mean for them in the future, right? So there's one more aspect that needs to be thought about is recycled water, recycled waste into water, okay? So here in Florida, we have that where it irrigates golf courses and things are recycled. But I want to tell you what happens with that. Does it or does it not leach into the aquifer?
You would think.
Okay.
They do that out here too, in Colorado.
Right. Okay. So there's that, and there's other literally big cities that have wastewater treatment plants, and they have their water treatment plants, and there's processes. But I want to ask you, do you know what your particular city does if you have tap water and you're actually drinking out of the tap water? Okay. Do you know what these water bottling plants, what are their processes and procedures and things? So going back, and there's not enough data on this. So it's not going to make sense to point fingers until we actually can find the root cause analysis, but really think about this because we're talking about health, right? So we have high rates of autism, and especially in some areas that have been known to use recycled waste into water. Bald men getting too much estrogen. Is that a potential and a possibility because it's not screened for that out of the water system? Women not being able to have children. That's becoming an issue lately. And a lot of people are looking at, the COVID vaccine. Could that be it? And different things. But prior to that, there are other things that need to be looked at and there's not enough data. So not pointing fingers at anybody. These are, again, just questions to ask yourself about your own particular health and where do I go from here? How can I start learning more? Okay, is being open. So when we talk about health, all right, there's another aspect, and I don't care if you're a plant-based person. I don't care if you're a vegan, all the other names, if you eat meat. Okay, but there is a philosophy that everything has energy. And if you are a person who engages and loves meat, okay, when that animal gets processed, that's fantastic. And you see it on your plate and you cook it and you have that wonderful smell. What you don't see is the energy it still holds in that process now gets transferred in your body and processes that. And do we really have a means right now that is understood to be able to have that in a cleaner process so we don't take that on? Okay. And if it's plant-based, right, you need to know the right things to eat so that you're getting enough protein in your body and that you're doing the things that are ethically right for you, right? These are your choices. I'm not here to tell anybody how and what to do things. It's just a matter of just knowing these things are out there, and if you're having a hard time with your health, maybe you need to start thinking and looking and talking with other people who have access to these other modalities and information, and doing research on your own. So, for instance, for our mental health in this country is based upon, if you talk to the psychologist and the psychotherapists and everybody else that is in that world, coaching, consulting, whatever that might mean, is it or is it not based about fear and scarcity and trauma? Most of the time that they're talking with somebody, right? And it's clearing out what those issues are and trying to figure out and identify what it is, so then they can back it up and help them, right? So how do we get into that quicker, to be able to get into our mind, as well as things we were programmed to do from generation to generation? And what does that look like in that process? And I'll give you an example of, just because we've always done it, okay? So you now, you're in a family, and you have, you cut off the ends when you're baking something, all right? And you put it in the oven, and somebody asks you, well, what do you do with these scraps that you've cut off? I don't know. My grandmother did it that way. This is what we do, right? And so then you go back, and grandma's still alive, and you ask them, and grandma says, I don't know, that's just what grandma did, right? Well, come to find out, when you go back to all of these generations, they didn't have availability of all these sizes of pans like we did, or trays, whatever they were making. So in order for it to fit properly, they had to cut the sides off so that they utilized, for that particular dish. Well, guess what? The new child, and then the new child, and then the new child is now cutting all this stuff off, but they have that pan that fits it perfectly. But just because it's what we've always done, it gets passed on and passed on and passed on. So if you use that as an analogy for anything that we do, it could be the foods we eat, which might not be healthy for us. Number one, I'm asking you to give forgiveness to all of this process, because we don't know what we don't know. And we don't know that things hurt us. And 9 times out of 10, we were taught this out of love from generations of family. Okay. Granted, there is still trauma and things, violence and things in families. And that's not what I'm talking about. Some of that does get, put over, and it does have to be dealt with. But we've always done what we've always done. Right. And so that the mental health aspect of the fear, the scarcity, and those components, we still need to have that discussion and talk about, because it's just like the water and the memory in your body. What you think about stays with you, right? So basically what you think about, you bring about. The one thing that there's other cultures, right, that, and I'll take Asia for instance, the first thing that they ask when you go in to seek some help is, how are you mentally feeling? The second thing is, have you had a bowel movement lately? And then the third thing is, they ask you to stick your tongue out, and they look at your tongue, and they're able to diagnose you because of the health that your body is screaming out loud, without having to have any instruments, medications, or anything like that. Now, they use holistic means, with acupuncture and cupping and, teas and salves and different things. So do other cultures, right?
Yep.
You have,
and that's like what I do. Miss Indigenous
right.
over here. Except I read the energy differently, but either way, it's always displaying. It's just the different ways of obtaining the information, because we all are doing, like she said, the same thing in different ways. Most of us.
Right. And it's not right or wrong. It's just, you need to find the thing that you resonate with the most, that you feel comfortable with, and find that person or place and thing, and just start one thing at a time. So basically, for the Asians, the tongue is the roadmap to your body and to your health, right? But there's also resonance, and your words hold the balance, the harmony, and the resonance for other things. And so when your words come out, or you think them conscientiously, that's where you have to go back and address a lot of these things as well. So as you can see, this is a multitude of things that happen. So outside of our current system, there are a lot of different healing services that are for the mind, the body, and the soul. And I have a list here, so I'm going to read off of them so that you can at least be exposed to them. And if anyone in your audience wants to look them up, they can look up what they are and get into that. But there's med beds. There's barometric chambers. I don't know if you know what those are, but oxygen, pure oxygen being
probably
fed
all
to
of these
you.
I've either been to or experienced, because again, I've been on a healing journey for over 12 years. I've traveled the world to get the healing because I knew that's why I'm walking again. So go for it.
Yes. Yeah. And so being the perfect example of that, okay, you now can function. That's not what our current medical system wants us to do, other than the doctors who became doctors for healing and a reason. And please, that's something that I ask our audience not to discredit, because our nurses, our doctors, our traumas, our therapists, and everything like that, 99% of them are here to help you, and they want to help. What the
Everyone is doing
is
the very best they can based on the information they have. I swear, it is just like our parents, our families. They based on what they have, and when they know better, they do better. Like Dr. Bernie Siegel, he was one of the first who realized that there's something else besides the book knowledge he learned. Right, so I love it. Okay, let's hear that list. Sorry to cut you off.
So we have the med beds, okay, which is so you have the red light therapy. And I would just want to show you, if you were to take a tanning bed from our teenage years, and I think they still exist, right? But you don't have those nasty UVB, UVA lights, whatever they are.
I have one of those. I was looking for the box because I was going to pull it out and show it. Because I have big ones, little ones of the red lights.
Right. So basically it is, and this is it's a wristlet, but it does the same thing. And I might need to charge it, but it gives the red light impulsing, pulsing, and you do this 4 times a day. However, if you want it more intensified, there are beds that have the red light therapy that are like our tanning beds that we have, but it has solely nothing but the good red lights, and the timing sequences of the pulses are what regenerate your blood cells. Okay. And people don't understand how damaged our cells are internally and our blood cells. And so red light therapy goes in and it cleans it up. And so if you looked, they tell you about a clogged artery, right? And your blood cells can't go in there. Well, if you look at getting these cleaner and getting them healthier, they now are spitting through there like, right? Amen. And that's what red light therapy helps to do. So there's also the DNA testing, which is for biohealth markers, nutritional and mineral deficiencies. There's toxic and heavy metal detoxing. There's nanobot removal. There's neuropath and cognitive healing. There's Reiki, and the very original one, which did not come here to the United States, is, and hopefully I can pronounce this right, Jikidan, Jikidan, which is very specific. There's full spectrum healing, sound healing, Roxiva light, and then there's guidance for those moving beyond the wound of addiction. There's spiritual guidance. There's QHHT, which if anybody knows what that is, it is a hypnosis therapy that was developed by Dolores Cannon. And it basically puts you in a consciousness state of mind where you can go back and look at these traumas, your past lives, where you're getting some of these things from. And even though we talk about ancestral stuff coming from, our own human generation from now, right, there are also things that affect us for fears and blockages from other lifetimes that we have had. Okay. Now that might be a new subject for some listeners, right? And maybe too deep.
All energy traces. And just in my perspective, if you believe that your soul is infinite, that it was here before it came into this body, then ask yourself, what do you think it was doing before it came into this body? And if it was able to come into this body, why wouldn't it be able to do it more than once? I'm just saying. Okay, go ahead.
And again, my conversations today spun off, like I told you before we started this, into 1,000 different conversations, which we will be having. So
I'm so excited. And I know exactly about that card because, I know your sister friend who's already had told me from the second I talked to her, oh, me, you, and Cherrie are doing something big. I already know. And I was like, okay, sweet. Let's do it. I don't know, but I'm in because I knew I was already vibing with you guys. And I know all about those cards. And I totally, because it again is like energy. Just like I know the selenite stick is detoxing my hands because you got me so, and I know this is all real stuff. We're not
touch
fluffing
this
and
all the
stuffing.
and grounding as well. And if I have enough time, I'll talk quickly about that because it's something instantaneously that your audience can do.
We got 15
Right.
minutes.
Okay.
Go.
So IQM,
I'm loving
integrative
this.
quantum medicine. We have pre-knob healing. Don't ask me what that is because I haven't looked into that one yet. Okay. Quantum acupuncture, quantum infusion, quantum bioresonance, quantum massage, and then there's also your herbal dispensaries and medicines. So you have cannabis, Chinese, American Indian, etc. All of these, Egyptian cultures, things like that. People who also use crystals. Okay, I'm not going to go into that conversation because I can't wait until we get into this. But, crystals have healing properties themselves. And they are also used in technology that we have, and people don't know that. And so these are some things that are hopefully will be up and coming out so that people can understand them. You have things like the quantum spring card that I told you about with the resonance and harmony. There are stickers that people have for EMF, okay, that are amazing. And people like myself and you that are behind a camera all the time, we're either on video calls, we're behind a computer. I do not put the phone up to my ear at all. Ever. Okay. There are people, depending upon who they
see these. This is what we use.
How much? Yes, exactly.
And there are people, 5 of these.
Yes. And there are people who specifically will not use a phone and have their assistant do all of the work because of the EMF. And so for those of you that do not know what EMF is, you are assuming into your body all of the electrical energy. I'll try to be able to translate this to you. And what happens is it gets in your body and you're not getting rid of it. And if you ever scuffed yourself back when we were kids, a lot of people had carpets in their houses, right? And so all of a sudden you scuffed your feet and your socks across the carpet, and then you touched something and you got a shock from it. That was because you had all of this electricity in your body, but it had to go somewhere, okay? So that's what's happening with these types of things, is it's discharging it, it's grounding it, but it's also infusing things with harmony so that the rest of it is all balanced out. So what can you do for yourself? Oh, and then there's also things like I can never say this, Ho'oponopono?
Yeah. Ho'oponopono. What is it? Ho'oponopono prayer.
I'm glad I'm not the only one.
And I practiced it, I was like, no. And even after that, Ho'oponopono. I know, girl. We know what you're saying. I know what you mean.
So we have 12 minutes left. So what I would like to challenge your audience to do, okay, for themselves, regardless of where you are on the spectrum of what you believe, what you don't believe, how much work you have to do to research things, what's the next step for you? I can tell you there's something you can do for free right now. Absolutely free. Okay. And I do not care where you live, if you live in an apartment on the 16th floor. Okay. But go outside and walk barefoot and get in nature. I don't care if it is just bushes that are down the street from your park. Exactly.
Barefoot.
I'm all the time. If I have the flexibility to actually get my leg that high, I'd show it to you as well. I'm barefoot, but I go.
Yeah, because I actually have bigger ones than that I keep my feet on, because I'm always processing energy is flowing through me so quickly because I'm an intuitive. Yes. I'm empathing everything all the time.
And as I am as well. And so for me, I can tell you that I go for 3 to 5 mile walks in the woods barefoot. And literally, when I say barefoot, it is completely barefoot for the whole entire walk. Now, I will tell you, I have asthma. All right. And I have done experiments. All right. Where I have having an asthma attack, and I do not take my inhaler. And by the time I come back, from my walks barefoot in the woods, I am breathing perfectly fine. Okay. So the free thing that you can do is just start walking barefoot. Okay. I don't care if you're getting mani and pedis. Okay. Guy, girl, whatever that is, you can still do that. Your pedicurist is not going to hate you. All right. They're going to love you more because you're taking care of yourself. Right, exactly. And actually it's not as bad as you think it is, because I have lovely feet, okay? And I still walk barefoot. But
all the time.
Things that
Me too. All the time.
So I just got back from Mount Shasta on a spiritual retreat. And you and I will have another conversation on that, but I overwhelmingly received in 3 different areas the following message for myself and for others. And so as we're wrapping up, because I don't know if you have any questions or comments that you want to have your audience, okay, but the overwhelming message to everybody is slow down. Okay. With technology and everything that has been placed in front of us, okay, we consume so many things. Can you sit at a table and have dinner with the person that you're talking to without having that phone while you're waiting for the waiter to come with the menu?
There like this going.
Okay. Right.
Huh.
And that's not the only thing, right? And we can blame video games. We can blame a lot of things. It doesn't matter. Okay. Our minds don't shut off because there's just so much stuff to consume, so many decisions to make, so much pressure that we have for this, that, or the other thing. I promise you, if you are to slow down and just be in nature, walk barefoot, you will start hearing source, whatever you consider your source, okay? Whatever name that is to you, you will start hearing words and things and ideas, okay? If you ever had an idea, to do something, oh, this would be really cool, okay? You're connected with source. This will help you tap into that more and be able to give you direction. And you don't need to have all of that convoluted stuff to keep you so busy and to do things, because you're now going to take direction from source, who loves you so much, who embraces you and gives you white light, and you cannot do any wrong. And even if you have, you're forgiven. Okay. But we need to forgive ourselves and our ancestors, and we need to start moving from here forward. Slow down, take a deep breath, give forgiveness, give love to everybody, emanate white light out to them from your heart out, and also down through your body into Mother Gaia and back to Earth, to thank her for all the endurance that she's put up for all of those who have damaged our planet and the resources. She is regenerating herself. She is regenerating the oceans and different things. And you will see blips. I don't watch the news. I do take and look at pop-ups every now and then just for validation. You'll see new technologies and new medical breakthroughs, new advances in curing diseases, new things to help clean the earth up, new things for energy and different things. And so people they either ignore it, but if you look at it collectively from a 10,000 foot view, we are being freed from those, even though it looks disastrous right now. All I can say is just give forgiveness to everybody, including yourself. Emanate love, slow down, and start talking to yourself about these things that I just brought up today. Okay. Yes, don't place blame upon things. Just look forward and say, how do I heal myself better? And what is actually out there that's not in our current system that might be added to it, okay, or be something in a different direction that I need to go, and give yourself the grace to be able to be open enough to look into what that is. And if it's something that you need help with, of a specific person or a thing, I think that you and I can, people can reach out to both of us and we'll help point them in that right direction. But I would highly suggest being in communities. I equate this in an analogy that I use, that there are people who have been waiting outside the door, and they're listening because that door is open, and they hear the loudspeaker, and they're listening, right? But there's so many of us that are so disgusted with the system, and we want to be healthier. We want different technologies. We want to be better for humanity all the way around. We love our brothers and their sisters, but we don't know where to start. So now, guess what? People have walked in the door and they're standing on the back wall. They're now in the room.
Just like
all
my
right.
flowers.
So it's between people like you and myself and the people in our networks to just keep giving information. And I will tell you, I am not currently an expert. I don't care. But I've learned a lot over the last decade on a lot of things
that you truly believe and you know to be true.
So here's the thing. If I don't need this because I can heal myself, and just because of me learning and asking questions and doing searches, research, and talking to people and the right people, if I can do it, why can't you? Everybody, for the most part, if you don't have access to the internet, most people have a phone. You can go to the library. The library is free. You can get on their computer. You can sit there. Okay. But
yeah, there's always a way. No excuses. There's always a way. Always.
Ask questions. Don't take no for an answer. Slow down. Give forgiveness. Give love. Walk barefoot. Get back in nature. Oh, and when you're in nature, all right, here's another message for everybody. In slowing down, in my walks, I've watched people walk past me. They have earbuds in. They're listening or they're talking to people. And you're out here again. Why? Okay. You're not connecting with nature. You're not when there's a sign for you. And you're going to miss your
intuitive flashes, because this is what I'm always telling you guys. Though I call them intuitive flashes. Those are the messages from God, Spirit, Creator, whatever you call it. And you can't hear it if you're so busy talking to your friend, listening to the music.
Right. Or even being on a bicycle. Right. You're getting the exercise. And I love biking. I have a mountain bike. I go kayaking. I go hiking, camping, a whole bit. Awesome. But we whiz by things. Right. And so we don't see things unless source literally, and in my case, it literally does this, flies birds smack dab in front of me that if I don't stop, or they will physically drop things out of my hands. So I have to stop and pick it up. And that's my cue. There's something here that is a message for me. And I need to, resonate with what it is. Be in that same vibration and stop, think, and listen. Right. And thinking, I guess in the final thoughts, because we have like a minute left. Your body is 70 to 80% water. Even though we have negative thoughts, take a deep breath. You can change it. You can look at the positive of everything. Exactly. Look at the positive of everything, change your thoughts, and it will turn around, and it's not going to hurt you as badly.
Oh, we're kind of losing you. Oh, no, Cherrie. You're kind of freezing and we've lost your sound. But we're at our minute anyway, so you know what?
It was a phone call.
There you go. Yeah. Now you're back. Nope, now you're gone.
It was
again.
A phone call that came in. I thought I put. Oh, sorry.
And it's back. Okay, well, honey, I'm going to let everybody go. I appreciate you. Okay, so if you guys were intrigued by this amazing conversation, keep following me, keep tapping in with me, because the amazing Cherrie is not ready to blow up with a website or a link yet, but she is going to help us slow down right now. But most importantly, you guys, she's going to be helping us level up here coming soon. So just know we are in cahoots. We're going to be doing something together we've already known since even before this. So just keep watching, you guys. This is Trey Urban. I have been coming at you with this trade talk, and I am here every Wednesday doing a laugh and learn lunch for 1 hour. So with that being said, I would love to see you back next week. Follow me on all the platforms, you guys. I'm getting ready to go on the Clapper with Michael, my dear friend, Michael Lozier, 4-time Oprah guest, man who wrote The Law of Attraction. And we're going to do some more healing over there, because what we're doing is releasing, because it's stuck in a cellular level. So we're just helping people get rid of those aches and pains and unprocessed emotions. So I'm excited. I'm so grateful for everyone who's come through on all of these platforms. I'm sending you so much blessings until next week or the next time you catch me in one of my rooms. Big hug, everyone. Signing off for now. Bye, Cherrie.